Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something straight up tonight. If you want 2026 to be your best year, it's not going to happen by accident. Great years don't just fall out of the sky. They are built one decision, one sacrifice, one hard choice at a time. See, a lot of people are hoping for a better year. But hope without action is just a wish. And wishes don't change lives. Goals do. The first thing you've got to understand is this: you cannot hit a target you can't see. Too many people wake up every morning just reacting to life instead of directing it. You've got to decide what you want your life to look like, sound like, and feel like, not what your friends want, not what social media is showing you. What you want. When you get clear, the noise gets quiet. When you get focused, distractions lose their power. The clarity gives you energy. It wakes you up in the morning and keeps you moving when things get hard. Ladies and gentlemen, let me slow this thing down and talk to you about something that changes everything once you truly understand it, and that is clarity of purpose and vision. See, most people are not failing because they are lazy or untalented. They are failing because they are confused. They wake up every morning with no clear direction, no clear target, no clear picture of where they're going. And when you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. That's why so many people feel tired all the time, not physically tired, but mentally exhausted, because confusion drains your energy faster than hard work ever will. You were not created just to exist, pay bills, and wait for the weekend. There is something specific placed inside you, something that fits you the way a key fits a lock. But you'll never find it if you don't sit down and get honest with yourself. What do you want your life to stand for? What kind of person do you want to be known as? What problem do you feel called to solve? Vision starts with asking the right questions. And those questions are not comfortable. They require silence. They require courage. They require you to stop living off other people's expectations and start listening to your own spirit. A lot of people confuse movement with progress. They stay busy, running here, running there, doing 10 different things, but nothing is actually changing. Vision gives your effort direction. When you know what you're aiming for, you stop wasting time on things that don't matter. You start saying no without guilt. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't understand your journey. The clarity simplifies life easier, but it makes it focused. And focus is powerful. Focus turns average people into dangerous competitors in life. Let me tell you something else about vision. Vision comes before confidence. You don't wait until you feel ready. You get clear first, and confidence catches up later. Most people say, I'll move when I feel confident. No, confidence comes from moving in the right direction long enough to see progress. When you have a clear vision, even fear knows where to stand. Fear doesn't disappear, but it stops controlling you. You stop asking, what if I fail? And you start asking, what if I never try? Can change the entire direction of your life. Vision also protects you from comparison. When you don't know your own lane, you keep watching other people drive past you. Social media will mess your head up if you don't have clarity. You start chasing someone else's success instead of building your own. But when your vision is clear, you can clap for others without feeling threatened. You understand that their journey has nothing to do with yours. You're not late. You're not behind. You're on your own schedule. And that peace right there is priceless. Now understand, this vision without action is just daydreaming. Clarity doesn't mean things will be handed to you. It means you're willing to commit to the process. It means you align your daily decisions with your long-term direction. Small choices matter. What you watch, who you listen to, how you talk to yourself, all of that either supports your vision or sabotages it. You don't accidentally build a great life. You build it intentionally. Every day you either vote for the future you want or the past you're trying to escape. You're going to have moments where your vision is tested. People will doubt you. Some will laugh. Some will walk away. That's part of it. Vision often separates you before it elevates you. Everybody can't see what you see because it wasn't given to everybody. Stop trying to convince people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Protect your vision. Feed it, write it down. Speak it out loud. Revisit it when life knocks you down. Vision is what gets you back up when motivation runs out. And let me say this clearly, because somebody needs to hear it tonight. Your past does not disqualify your future. Where you started does not determine where you can finish. Vision allows you to see beyond your current circumstances. It gives you permission to imagine more, to expect more, to demand more from yourself. When you get clear about who you are becoming, your standards change, your habits change, your conversations change, and slowly, quietly, your life starts to change too. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you about discipline, because discipline is the difference between people who dream and people who deliver. Everybody wants a better life, but very few people want a better routine. See, motivation is an emotion, and emotions change. You feel good today, you don't feel like it tomorrow. If your future depends on how you feel, you're going to stay exactly where you are. Discipline is deciding in advance that no matter how you feel, you're going to do what needs to be done. Most people wait to feel ready before they act. Discipline says you act first and let readiness catch up. There are days when you won't feel inspired, days when you're tired, bored, or frustrated. Discipline shows up anyway. It doesn't ask for applause. It doesn't need excitement. It just works. That's why discipline builds confidence. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen your self-respect. And self-respect is the foundation of a powerful life. Let me tell you something important. Discipline is not about punishment, it's about freedom. When you master yourself, nobody else can discipline with your time, your money, your habits, and your energy. You stop living in reaction mode. You start living on purpose. I'm disciplined. Living always feels good in the moment, but it costs you later. Discipline feels uncomfortable now, but it pays you back with interest. Choose which price you're willing to pay. A lot of people think discipline means doing big, dramatic things. No, discipline lies in the small decisions. Getting up when the alarm rings, saying no to distractions, doing the work when nobody is watching. Discipline is built in private long before it's rewarded in public. People see the results and call it luck, but they didn't see the late nights, the early mornings, the sacrifices you made when nobody cared. That's the part that separates average from exceptional. Discipline also requires structure. If you don't plan your day will plan you. You cannot grow in a life that has no boundaries. Successful people don't have more time than you. They have more control over their time. They decide what matters and eliminate what doesn't. Discipline is learning to protect your focus like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. Whatever you focus on consistently, you become. Now let's talk about discipline excuses. Excuses sound reasonable, but they are expensive. Every excuse delays your progress. I don't have time. I'm not ready yet. Discipline cuts through all that noise. It says start where you are with what you have and do what you can. Progress beats perfection every single time. You don't need to be great to start, but you do need to start to become great. There will be moments when discipline feels lonely. While others are relaxing, you're working. While others are sleeping, you're studying. While others are complaining, you're improving. That's okay. Discipline often separates you before it rewards you. But separation is temporary. Regret lasts forever. Keep your eyes on the long-term result, not the short-term comfort. Comfort is a dangerous place because nothing grows there. Discipline also teaches you patience with yourself. You're going to mess up. You're going to miss a day. That doesn't mean you quit. Discipline is not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. You get back up, you recommit, and you keep moving forward. One discipline day stacked on another creates momentum, and momentum changes lives. If you truly want 2026 to be your best year, discipline has to become your lifestyle, not just something you try when you feel like it. When you stop negotiating with your weaknesses and start honoring your commitments, everything begins to shift. Your confidence grows, your results improve, and slowly but surely, you become the person you once only dreamed about. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you about faith in the process and patience, because this is where most people give up right before their life is about to change. We live in a world that wants everything fast. Fast money, fast success, fast results. But real growth doesn't work like that. Anything built too quickly usually falls apart just as fast. The process is not there to punish you. It's there to prepare you. And if you don't respect the process, you won't be able to handle the promise when it arrives. Most people pray for the destination, but complain about the journey. They want the reward, but resist the training. They want the harvest without respecting the season. Let me tell you something, delays are not denials. Just because it's taken longer than you expected doesn't mean it's not working. Sometimes the biggest progress is happening in places you can't see yet. Roots grow before the tree shows fruit. And if you pull the seed out of the ground too early, you kill the very thing you're asking for. Patience is not about sitting still and doing nothing. Patience is about doing the right things consistently while you wait. It's about showing up even when there's no applause. It's about believing in the work when there's no evidence yet. That takes faith. Faith is not pretending everything is perfect. Faith is trusting that what you're doing today is planting something for tomorrow. Even when today feels hard, tomorrow feels far away. A lot of people quit because they misinterpret struggle as failure. Struggle is not failure. Struggle is a sign that you're stretching beyond your comfort zone. If everything is easy, you're probably not growing. The process will test your attitude, your commitment, and your character. It will ask you, how bad do you really want this? And every time you choose to keep going, you're answering that question with action. Let me be real with you. Waiting is uncomfortable. Watching others succeed while you're still grinding can mess with your confidence if you're not careful. Comparison during the waiting season is dangerous. You start wondering why it's working for them and not for you. But you don't know their story and they don't know yours. Everyone's timing is different. The same amount of rain that grows one plant might drown another. Your season is customized to you. The process also builds humility. It teaches you that you don't have control over everything. You can do your part, but some things require trust. When you learn to trust the process, you stop forcing outcomes and start focusing on effort. You stop asking, when is it going to happen? And start asking, who am I becoming while I wait? That question changes everything. Because the person you become in the process is more important than the thing you're chasing. There will be moments when nothing makes sense. When doors close without explanation. When plans fall apart. When progress feels invisible. Those moments are not wasted. They are shaping your resilience. They are teaching you how to handle disappointment without quitting. Strength is built in silence. Character is formed in pressure. And patience is developed when you don't walk away just because it's uncomfortable. Faith in the process also means trusting yourself. Trusting that you're learning, growing, and improving even if it's slow. Small progress is still progress. One step forward is still movement. You don't need to leap every day. Sometimes consistency looks boring. Sometimes it looks repetitive. But repetition is how mastery is built. Stay committed to the fundamentals. They work even when they're not exciting. If you can learn to respect the process, to stay patient, and to keep showing up when quitting feels easier, you will separate yourself from most people. Not because you're better, but because you're willing to endure what others avoid. And one day you'll look back and realize that the waiting didn't waste your time. It prepared you for a level you wouldn't have survived without it. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you about the power of letting go, because you cannot step into a new level while holding on to what keeps pulling you back. A lot of people say they want change, but they're still emotionally attached to old habits, old mindsets, and old relationships that no longer serve them. You can't keep carrying yesterday into tomorrow and expect a different result. Growth requires release. And releasing because familiarity feels safe, even when it's hurting you. Some of the things you need to let go of don't look toxic on the surface. They look comfortable. They look familiar. They look like habits you've had for years. But anything that drains your energy, steals your focus, or keeps you stuck in the same cycle has a cost. That cost shows up in your future. Every habit you don't change eventually becomes a limitation. And the longer you hold on, the heavier it gets. Letting go also means addressing your mindset. Negative self-talk, doubt, fear of failure, fear of success, all of that lives in the mind first. If you keep telling yourself you're not good enough, not smart enough, not ready, you will live inside those words. Your mind believes what you repeatedly tell it. So one of the most powerful things you can do is stop speaking against your own future. Replace those thoughts with intention. Not fake positivity, but honest belief that you are capable of growth and change. Now let's be honest, letting go of people is one of the hardest parts. Some people were meant to be with you for a season, not a lifetime. That doesn't make them bad, and it doesn't make you disloyal. It just means you're growing in different directions. There are relationships that keep you comfortable instead of challenged. They support who you were, not who you're becoming. If you keep shrinking to fit old spaces, you will never grow into new ones. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop allowing access to your future. Our boundaries are not walls, they are filters. They decide what's allowed to stay in your life and what has to go. When you don't set boundaries, people will use your time, your energy, and your kindness without respect. Protecting your peace is not selfish. It's necessary. You cannot pour into everyone and still expect to grow. Another thing people struggle to let go of is guilt. Guilt over past mistakes. Guilt over opportunities missed. Guilt over not knowing better back then. But guilt keeps you looking backward. You cannot drive forward while staring in the rearview mirror. Learn from your mistakes, yes, but don't live there. The lesson was the point, not the punishment. Once you take the lesson, it's time to move on. Letting go also means releasing the need for approval. If you live for applause, you will die from criticism. Not everyone understands your choices. Not everyone will support your growth, and that's okay. You weren't created to be liked by everyone. You were created to become who you were meant to be. Approval is addictive, and once you break that addiction, you become free to live honestly. Here's the truth. Letting go creates space. Space for better habits. Space for healthier relationships. Space for new opportunities. Space for peace. When you clear out what no longer fits, you make room for what does. It's not about losing something. It's about gaining alignment. Alignment between who you are and where you're going. If you want 2026 to be different, you have to be willing to release what keeps you tied to the past. Old excuses, old fears, old patterns, old connections that no longer push you forward. Letting go may feel like loss at first, but what you gain on the other side is clarity, strength, and a lighter spirit. And that freedom is worth everything. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you about daily personal growth and learning, because the moment you stop growing is the moment you start falling behind, even if it doesn't feel like it right away. Life doesn't stand still. Everything's either moving forward or slowly breaking down. The same rule applies to you. You don't wake up one day and suddenly become better. You become better by making small, intentional improvements every single day. Most people overestimate what they can do in one day and underestimate what they can do in 1 year. They wait for a perfect moment, a big opportunity, or a dramatic breakthrough. But growth doesn't usually show up like that. Growth shows up quietly. It shows up in reading a few pages instead of scrolling, in learning one new skill instead of repeating the same routine, in choosing progress over comfort. These small decisions don't look impressive at first, but over time they compound into something powerful. Learning keeps you valuable. The world is changing fast, and if you're not learning, you're becoming outdated. Your degree, your past success, or your natural talent is not enough to carry you forever. You have to sharpen your mind continuously. When you invest in learning, you increase your options. And when you have options, you have freedom. The more you know, the less trapped you feel. Personal growth also means being honest with yourself. It means recognizing where you need to improve without beating yourself up. Growth is not about perfection, it's about awareness. You don't fix what you deny. When you're willing to look at your weaknesses and say, I can do better, you open the door to real change. That level of honesty takes courage, but it's the kind of courage that builds character. A lot of people resist growth because it makes them uncomfortable. Learning something new means admitting you don't know everything. It means being a beginner again. And ego doesn't like that. But staying the same has a cost too. The discomfort of growth is temporary. The discomfort of regret lasts much longer. Every skill you don't learn today becomes a limitation tomorrow. Daily growth also shapes your mindset. When you commit to learning, you stop seeing obstacles as walls and start seeing them as lessons. Failure becomes feedback. Mistakes become teachers. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? That shift changes how you experience life. It turns problems into opportunities for development. Let me tell you something important. You don't need to learn everything at once. You just need to learn something consistently. One book, one podcast, one course, one conversation with someone who's ahead of you. Growth is built through repetition, and repetition creates mastery. You don't become great by doing something once. You become great by showing up again and again, even when it's boring. Personal growth also influences the people around you. When you grow, your standards change. Your conversation changes. Your circle changes. Not because you think you're better, but because you're different. Growth creates distance, and that's not always comfortable. Some people will feel threatened. Some will feel left behind. But you cannot shrink yourself to keep others comfortable. Your responsibility is to become your best self. When you commit to daily growth, confidence follows naturally. Not loud confidence, but quiet confidence. The kind that comes from knowing you're improving. The kind that doesn't need validation. You trust yourself more because you see yourself doing the work. That trust becomes a powerful foundation for every area of your life. If you want 2026 to be your best year, you have to fall in love with growth. Not just the results, but the process. Learning something new, becoming more disciplined, improving your mindset, sharpening your skills. Do a little every day. Over time, those little efforts will create a version of you that's stronger, wiser, and ready for opportunities you once thought were out of reach. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you about gratitude, service, and giving back. Because no matter how high you climb in life, if you forget this part, you will always feel like something is missing. Success without gratitude feels empty. Achievement without meaning feels hollow. You can have money, recognition, and comfort, and still feel unfulfilled if your heart is disconnected from appreciation and purpose. Gratitude changes the way you see your life. When you're grateful, you stop focusing only on what's missing and start recognizing what's already working. And that shift matters. A lot of people are stressed not because their life is bad, but because they are blind to the good that already exists. Gratitude doesn't mean you settle. It means you acknowledge how far you've come while you're still working on where you're going. And when you do that, you move with a lighter spirit and a clearer mind. Being grateful also keeps you grounded. The higher you go, the easier it is to forget the struggle. It's easy to lose humility when things start going your way. Gratitude reminds you that you didn't get here alone. Somebody opened a door. Somebody gave you advice. Somebody prayed for you. Somebody believed in you when you didn't believe in yourself. When you remember that, arrogance has no place to grow. Service is where gratitude turns into action. It's not enough to say you're thankful. You show gratitude by helping others rise. Service keeps you connected to humanity. It reminds you that your success is not just about you. When you lift someone else, you don't lose anything. You gain perspective. Helping others keeps your problems in proportion and your heart in the right place. A lot of people giving back is something you do after you've made it. That's a mistake. You don't wait until you're at the top to be generous. You practice generosity on the way up. Giving is a mindset before it's a number. You can give time, encouragement, knowledge, attention, and kindness long before you have money to give. And the truth is, people who give freely tend to receive more opportunities in return. Not because they're chasing rewards, but because generosity builds trust and respect. Gratitude and service also protect you from bitterness. Life will disappoint you at some point. People will let you down. Plans will fail. If you're not careful, those moments can harden your heart. But when you choose gratitude, you refuse to let pain turn you into someone you don't recognize. Serving others while they're hurting keeps you from becoming self-centered and stuck in your own struggles. Giving back also gives your success longevity. Money can be spent. Titles can be taken away. Applause fades. But the impact you have on people lasts. When you help someone see their worth, when you inspire someone to keep going, when you open a door for someone who had none, that legacy stays alive long after the moment passes. That's real wealth. Gratitude also sharpens your awareness. You start noticing opportunities where others see obstacles. You notice lessons where others see losses. A thankful mindset keeps you open instead of defensive. And when you're open, you grow. When you're defensive, you stagnate. Gratitude keeps you learning, evolving, and connected to purpose. Let me say this clearly. If you want 2026 to be your best year, don't make it only about what you can get. Make it about who you can become and who you can help along the way. When you wake up thankful, when you move with humility, and when you give without expecting applause, life has a way of rewarding you in ways money never could. That's how you build a year and a life that truly feels successful.